start out in Matthew chapter 10. And then I'm going to show you something if I get around to it. Matthew chapter 10. I'm going to read, I'm just going to read verse 16 and we'll see where it goes from there. Because I don't know exactly where it's going to go, as if I ever did. Matthew chapter 10. Disciples here, and he's called them all out by this time, and he's about to send them out. Now, if you keep reading chapter 10, it's going to go through the whole story of his death, crucifixion, resurrection, the whole bit. They don't understand it because it hadn't happened yet. But I'm just going to read this one verse here as he's talking to them, and he's telling them what all is going to go on, where they're supposed to go, and the whole chapter gives them direction. But I want to read this one line because this one thing gets to me that maybe we don't always do this. He says in verse 16, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves." Just take a second and think about that. What's the one thing that a sheep does not have? A sheep does not have any offensive ability. It always depends on the shepherd to take care of it. And he says, I'm going to send you out as sheep, and you're going to go out among the wolves. Ponder on just how bad that really is, unless you have a good shepherd. Now, who is the good shepherd? Jesus. There we go. So he says, I'm going to send you out as sheep among the wolves. It's going to be a bad deal. How many of you get tired of going out in the world and nobody listens to you? How many of you got teenagers? Not anymore. I don't have none of them anymore. It's funny how let me just throw something in here totally for free. I keep getting this thing that I'm not 29, and that's flattering. But believe me, folks, I'm every bit of 29. So I'm taking it as a compliment that nobody thinks I really am, but I'm every bit of it. It says, I'm going to send you out in the midst of wolves. Be you therefore. Okay. Here's what you got to be if you're going to be a Christian and going to be a disciple and going to be sent out into this world today. You got to be as wise as a serpent. Wisdom is a tough thing. Wisdom is taking knowledge and experience and putting them together. When you add knowledge and experience, then you come up with wisdom. Let me tell you something that's wise. My dad, when I was about 12 or so, decided that we all had to learn our own lessons, I guess. And he thought that was really his job as a parent, to make sure you learned all your lessons and you learned them as hard as possible. He sent me out one day, and a guy by the name of Arlen Collins gave us a little quarter horse who he wanted broke. Dad sent me out, and he said, now you got all summer to break that little thing. You got a couple hours every afternoon. After we get home from the woods, you do your chores. You got ball games in the evenings, and I was playing ball all the time. You can just spend a couple hours every afternoon and break that little horse. That little horse bucked me, kicked me, stomped me, broke my arm. Over the course of about 2 months, that horse got the best of me in every direction. I could not break that horse. Had I seen Dad ride a horse? Yes. Could I ride a horse? Yes. I had some knowledge, but no experience. Now, believe you me, only experience gains quick when you get bucked. Every time you hit the ground, you get a little more experience. I guess it was probably about the middle of July when I finally told Dad, I have no clue how to break that horse. I think they ought to take it to the glue factory. We're going to name it Glue Pot. Elmer. That should be that thing's name, Elmer. So Elmer's glue pot of a horse. Dad went out and he said, now here's what you do. He ties the horse up to a tree, ties its back, ties the line through, back to the next one, and he said, get you a 50-pound bag of feed. I put the saddle and everything on the horse, got a 50-pound bag of feed, and he said, drop that right up there. So I dropped that right up on that thing. That horse went to bucking, threw himself down. Dad went around the other side. We dragged the 50-pound bag off of him, helped him get back up, tied him back up, and he's drop it up there again. I dropped that bag of feed up there. The horse went to buck, fell over. The third time, the horse just stood there and went, but he never bucked. Dad said, take him loose, take him for a ride. I took the little horse out there and I got on him and he just shook and shivered. He wanted to buck me so bad he couldn't stand it. But he had all the bucking he wanted. See, experience comes into the fact that I didn't have to get bucked off that thing 50 times. It wasn't hurting him a bit to throw me down on the ground. Do you think it's really bothering the world one bit to throw you down? Is it bothering Satan? Has Satan ever looked at you, Bill Callis, and said, you're a fine guy, I think I'll just leave you alone today? No. I don't know about the fine guy part, but he ain't ever left you alone. How many of us are waiting for the world to get off of us? Just get away from me. How many of you have ever had that person you worked with that you thought when they boy, I hope they don't show up to work today? Come on now, don't raise your hands, but that person just won't get along. Some of them, bless their heart, are just dumber than a box of rocks, but they want to give you trouble all the time. Those are going to be the kind, you got to be wise. Now, let me go to the next part, wise. If you do this, please stop. Don't go to the mall and get into an argument with a 4-year-old. Okay? How many times have I walked through Jonesboro at the mall and seen a parent arguing with a 4-year-old? You're dumber than they are if you're doing that. That's not wise. Okay? What is it that a 4-year-old's going to do? They're going to argue right back. There is no winning the argument. So you make them do what you want to and you go on. Now there's all kinds of parenting skills. Arguing with them is not going to help. That's not being wise. So be wise in about what you do. Be wise, and we're going to go on and take a look at exactly what that amounts to maybe here in a second. The next thing it says is harmless as doves. Boy, that's a tough one, ain't it? You let them do that to me, I'll show them. I'm an American. I got rights in this place. Amen? Come on. Some of you are sitting there staring at me like you don't believe me. Somebody cut you off in traffic. How many of you are harmless as doves? Yeah, right. Nobody cut Charlotte off in traffic unless they accidentally pull out a mile or so ahead of her and that make her tap her brakes. Folks, how many of us are harmless as doves in the way that we deal? You know how you're harmless as a dove? You got to be as wise as a serpent. Because you got to realize what people are doing when they do things. Now this chapter is going to go on and talk about a character by the name of Beelzebub. Come on. Everybody knows who Beelzebub is. As you go on, Beelzebub literally means the prince ball. It's the prince of all that's not right. We call it Satan. We call him Lucifer. Beelzebub. But that's literally what it means. The prince of all that's not right. The prince of all that's against God. Nothing has changed in 3,500 years. There's still things that are trying to chase you down that you left. Sometimes you get stuck. Sometimes you don't know where to turn, but you stand still. Don't be afraid, and watch as the Lord delivers you. And who is it fights our battle so that we can be as harmless as doves? God. They never fought any of that battle. They never had to scream and yell. They never had to jump up and down and have a fit. God took care of the problem in His own way, in His own time. That's hard to live with. That I don't get to fix this the way I want to right now. But that's part of being wise. Be wise and realize where your salvation is. Realize where your future is. Take a little bit of time to ponder on it as you go. Amen?
Amen.
Trade on dismisses.
Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord.